welcome everybody once again to another episode of Mouth of the Midwest, continuing my top 5 series here. As my last episode, it was top 5, in my opinion, top 5 basketball players in NBA history. Let's continue it right along with baseball. Now, the beauty about baseball and football is we can, those can be argumented two ways, like football, offense and defense, baseball, pitchers and position players. What I've tried to do was come up with a list, in my opinion, the top 5 pitchers of all time and the top 5 position players / hitters of all time. I've tried to get both of them in on this episode. But without further ado, let's get right into it. We'll start with the pitchers. This one wasn't easy, and like I said, this is just from my own opinion, my experience, and did a little looking up. And keep in mind, I'm going to read off at the end a percentage, and that's their Hall of Fame. How many people voted for them on the Hall of Fame, and were they first ballot, second ballot, etc. One thing I do want to stress, I left off the PED users just because there's the cloud around it. Will they get into the Hall of Fame? Oh, they're not all-time great because they use PEDs. So anybody suspected, tested positive, anything like that, I've left off these lists for that reason. Not to say that the list doesn't have controversy, but one thing I do want to stress on that front, though, is the same writers that refuse to vote these PED guys in, if they voted for them to have Cy Youngs, MVPs, all that, then they need to have their vote, Hall of Fame vote, rejected. Because in my opinion, if you're voting for them for that award, obviously you should vote for them for the Hall of Fame. That's just own opinion there. But let's go. I chose number 5. I chose Dennis Eckersley. Dennis Eckersley, had a career of, you look at the numbers and you're thinking, whoa. But then when I get down the list of his numbers, and you'd be like, okay. He was 197 wins and 171 losses. Had a career ERA of 3.50, 2,401 strikeouts, 390 career saves. Dennis Eckersley started his career as a starter, and then late in his career, for whatever reason, was losing gas, whatever, went to the bullpen and excelled. 390 career saves. At the time that he retired, he was first all-time. He was a 6-time All-Star, won a World Series in '89 with the Oakland Athletics, and he also did a real interesting. He had a no-hitter when he was a pitcher, when he was a starter, but he also won the MVP and Cy Young in the same year as a relief pitcher in '92 with the Oakland A's. That's saying something. So he's at number 5, and he received 83.2% of the vote for the Hall of Fame on the first ballot. Got in. Number 4, Greg Maddux, the Bulldog. 355 career wins, 227 career losses, a 3.16 ERA, 3,371 career strikeouts. He was an 8-time All-Star. He won a '95 World Series with the Atlanta Braves, spent most of his career with the Chicago Cubs and the Atlanta Braves, polished off his career with the San Diego Padres. He was also a 4-time Cy Young Award winner, I think second to only Roger Clemens, who, was that PED guy, one of the PED guys. He was an 18-time Gold Glove winner, 3-time led the majors in wins 3 times, ERA 4 times. On his Hall of Fame ballot, he was 97.2% of the ballots, a first ballot Hall of Famer. Number 4, all-time, Greg Maddux. Number 3, Bob Gibson of the St. Louis Cardinals. That's right. 251 wins, 174 career losses, 2.91 career ERA, 3,117 career strikeouts, 9-time All-Star, 2-time World Series champion, 1958 MVP, 2-time Cy Young Award winner, 9-time Gold Glove, And he was on 84% of the Hall of Fame ballot, first ballot Hall of Famer. Bob Gibson, number 3. Number 2, you know, you can have the in this discussion here, the top 5. If you're doing a top 5, your top 4 can be debatable. When I get to number 1 and I read this off, you'll know why. But number 2, the Express himself, Nolan Ryan, 324 career wins, 292 career losses. That's, you know, a 3.19 ERA. He had 5,000 and a major league record that still stands to this day. Might go untouched. We'll get into that discussion later on. That could be one of those most untouchable sports records. But 5,714 career strikeouts. He was an 8-time All-Star. He won a World Series with the amazing Mets. That's 1969. He was an 11-time strikeout leader. He had 7 career no-hitters. And, you know, another thing for you kids, you know, if you're a hitter, pitcher beans you, and it's an older pitcher, you might want to think twice about that. Go Google, YouTube, whatever, Nolan Ryan, Robin Ventura. That's all you got to put in. And then you'll see why. He was on 98.8% of the Hall of Fame ballots as a first ballot Hall of Famer. Which leads me to my number 1 pitcher of all time. The guy that the most prestigious pitching award was named after, Cy Young. I'll get into his records in a minute. I'm going to read off his stats and a couple other things. 511 career wins, 316 career losses, 2.63 ERA, 2,803 career strikeouts. He won a World Series in 1903 with the Boston Red Sox. Well, up until 2004, I think that was the last time they won. But he won pitching's Triple Crown in 1901 with wins, strikeouts, and ERA. He's led the majors in wins 5 times, ERA 2 times, strikeouts twice. He had 3 no-hitters and a perfect game. Now, before I read off his records that stand to this day and probably will never ever be touched again. These are you know, they never say never, but these are some nevers. 76.12% of the Hall of Fame ballot. He was a second ballot Hall of Famer. But let's take into consideration when the Hall of Fame, I'm not sure, but he was long past when the Hall of Fame actually started. So you can only get so many people in on the first ballot. You know, second ballot in his case is just as good as a first. But career marks that'll probably never be touched, major league records, 511 wins. He pitched 7,356 innings. He had 815 career starts, 794 complete games. That means he went the distance, 9 innings from beginning to end, 794 times. And he has 25 1/3 continuous hitless innings pitched, consecutive hitless innings pitched. That is just amazing. So Cy Young, number 1 pitcher of all time. Let's do a recap of them. Number 5, Dennis Eckersley. Number 4, Greg Maddux. Number 3, Bob Gibson. Number 2, Nolan Ryan. Number 1, Cy Young. You know, I'm sure your list will be different. I'm sure your list should have at least 1 or 2 of those on there. But let's see if I can squeeze this into the 15-minute mark here. Whew. Okay. Now, a lot of these ain't on career stats. It's just, you know. But number 5, Ken Griffey Jr. He was a 284 career hitter, 2,781 career hits, 630 career home runs, 1,836 RBIs, 13-time All-Star. He won an MVP in 97, 4-time home run leader, first ballot Hall of Famer, 99.3% of the vote. And, you know, probably the last clean guy of his era as far as hitting-wise. Number 4, here's a little controversy, but, you know, he's banned by baseball, but he's not banned for PED use. He's banned for betting on baseball, but his stats here put him in as one of the top 5 all time. Pete Rose, Charlie Hustle. He was a 303 career hitter. Now I'm going to read off his all-time records at the end, but here's his career stats: 4,256 career hits, 160 home runs, 1,314 RBIs. He was a 17-time All-Star, a 3-time World Series champion, 3-time batting champion, and won 2 Gold Gloves. He has all-time records of hits with 4,256, singles with 3,215. He played in 3,562 career games. He had 14,053 at-bats and 15,890 plate appearances. Charlie Hustle, Pete Rose, number 4 all-time. Number 3 all-time is the great Bambino himself, Babe Ruth. I mean, he did it both. He was a pitcher before he was a hitter, and he was, had 94 career wins and 46 losses with 2.28 ERA for the Boston Red Sox before being sold to the Yankees. And he went on to have, arguably, he's the measuring stick of baseball. 342 career average, 2,873 career hits, 714 career home runs, 2,213 career RBIs. He was a 7-time World Series champion, 1923 MVP, a 1924 batting champion, 12-time home run leader. He led the league in ERA in 1916. 2-time All-Star, but he's a 2-time All-Star because the All-Star game didn't come until right at the end of his career. So, hence the reason. But Babe Ruth, number 3 all-time. Number 2 all-time, the Say Hey Kid, Willie Mays. I mean, one of the most iconic catches. It's replayed. Catching it over his head into his glove. San Francisco Giant, New York Giant. He had a 302. He was a career 302 hitter. He had 3,283 career hits. He had 660 career home runs, 1,903 RBIs. He also had 338 stolen bases, which is a lost art in my view. He was a 24-time All-Star, 2-time MVP, 12-time Gold Glove. He won a batting title in 54 and a World Series in 1954. He was a 4-time home run and stolen base champion. The Say Hey Kid got 94.7% of the vote on his first ballot. Hall of Famer, number 2 all-time in my opinion. Which leads me to the end. Hammer and Hank. I mean, you call him what you want. Henry Aaron, Hank Aaron is the greatest baseball player of all time. Barry Bonds might have the home run record. There's always going to be shadow of that. Someone might have always been a better hitter, contact hitter, whatever, whatnot. But the overall body of work, Hank Aaron. And here's his career stats. He was a career 303 hitter. He had 3,771 career hits, 755 career home runs, 2,297 career RBIs. He was a 25 time All-Star. He was a 1957 MVP and World Series champion, 3-time Gold Glove, 2-time batting champion, 4-time home run and RBI leader. Here's 3 of his records that still stand today, which home runs should be in there too, depending on how you want to look at it. But he had 6,856 career total bases, considering there's only 4 bases. So divide that times 4. 2,297 career RBIs. 1,477 extra base hits. That's doubles, home runs, triples. He had 1,477 combined to those. Still Major League Baseball records. And he pulled in 97.83% of the vote on his first ballot of the Hall of Fame. But, in my opinion, like I said, the greatest of all time. We got to get ready to get up out of here. But I hope you enjoyed this. This is my opinion of the greatest of all time. Like I said, one more time. Number 5, Ken Griffey Jr. Number 4, Pete Rose. Number 3, Babe Ruth. Number 2, Willie Mays. And number 1, Hammer and Hank Aaron. This has been David Mitchell for the Mouth of the Midwest. Top 5 baseball players of all time. Top 5 pitchers of all time. Peace, love, and bubblegum.